Dr. Amanda Cross rubbed her tired eyes as the glow of the Arabo 2 deep space array flickered across her glasses. For weeks, she had listened to whispers from the cosmos, bursts of static, fleeting pulses, the usual noise of a restless galaxy. But tonight was different. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, yet she hadn't noticed. The pattern on her screen was unmistakable. This was not random static. Not a pulsar, not cosmic radiation, not a dying star singing its last song. This was deliberate. Somewhere near Vega, 25 light-years away, someone, or something, was transmitting an encrypted signal. Amanda's hands flew across the keyboard, parsing the data. The symbols scrolled faster, resolving into repeating structures too regular, too intentional, too alive. For 3 weeks she had suspected something extraordinary. Now, staring at the monitor, she felt the weight of history pressing against her chest. She wasn't alone in the room. Across the lab sat Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, Naval Intelligence, assigned to her team as a security measure. At first, Amanda had resented having a soldier in a research facility. But tonight, with her heart racing, she was grateful. "Jake," she whispered. "You need to see this." He crossed the room, leaned over her shoulder, and frowned. His world was codes, ciphers, hidden meanings. And what Amanda had pulled from the stars looked exactly like that, a locked message, waiting to be opened. The universe was speaking. And Earth had stumbled into the conversation. The first attempts to decode failed, just as Amanda had expected. Civilian cryptography had nothing to offer against this. But Jake had access to something else, the Navy's decryption arsenal, built to intercept the most secret transmissions of Earth's enemies. One by one, he fed the signal through classified programs. For an hour, nothing. Then, a flicker. Symbols rearranged. A structure began to appear. Amanda froze. "Jake, that looks like language." And then, impossibly, words. Not in English. Not even in an Earth tongue. But patterns, logic, fragments of communication that hinted at something larger. The alien message was never meant for human ears. Just as Amanda and Jake were beginning to understand, the door opened. Captain Lisa Bennett, combat veteran, now liaison to the project, had been summoned. She scanned the partially translated fragments on the screen. And what she saw made her blood run cold. This was no friendly greeting. No invitation to join a galactic community. This was war. The signal revealed itself slowly, piece by piece. 2 factions, ancient enemies, locked in a war older than Earth's written history. They called themselves the Hegemony and the Collective. For thousands of years they had consumed star systems in their endless struggle. And now, they had chosen Earth as their final battlefield. Not because of humanity. Not because of our culture, or our potential. But because they thought this system was empty. To them, humans were animals, biological contamination to be cleared away before their fleets arrived. Amanda's voice shook as she explained the timeline. Scout vessels were already en route, set to arrive in 6 months. The main battle fleets would follow within the year. 6 months. That was all the time humanity had left before the sky split open. And yet, there was one mistake the aliens had made. One oversight born of arrogance. They never imagined we were listening. Captain Bennett's hand was steady as she reached for the secure phone, her voice flat but urgent as she contacted the Pentagon. Within hours, the news would reach the President, the Joint Chiefs, and eventually the United Nations. Earth had always imagined first contact as a moment of wonder. A cosmic handshake. The end of isolation. But the truth was far harsher. Our first contact was as prey. Amanda sat back, staring at the alien script still scrolling on her monitor. She couldn't shake the feeling that in decoding the signal, humanity had been reborn. We were no longer an isolated species. We were now participants, however unwilling, in the oldest war the galaxy had ever known. But Jake saw something else. An opportunity. If they could read the signal, they could also speak through it. Operation Mockingbird was born that night, the idea of deceiving two superpowers into fighting each other harder, longer, distracted enough for humanity to survive. For the first time, Earth was not simply waiting for its fate. It was preparing to write its own line in galactic history. When President Helen Rodriguez stood before the United Nations just 2 days later, she faced a hall filled with disbelief. Leaders whispered to one another, unable to accept that our world had been reduced to a pawn in a war we didn't start. And yet, as the president explained, humanity had no choice but to fight. General Hayes, a man forged in the deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan, laid out the grim truth. In open battle, Earth would not last a day. The alien fleets carried weapons that could unmake cities in an instant, shields that no Earth missile could pierce. But then Dr. Samuel Carter stood, voice trembling with conviction. There was hope. The alien transmissions contained not only war plans, but fragments of their science, data about propulsion, energy, and shielding. If humanity could reverse engineer even a fraction of this knowledge, it might level the field. Not through brute force, but through creativity, deception, and the one thing the aliens had overlooked, human unpredictability. Factories would shift from commerce to defense. Laboratories would become weapons forges. Old enemies would share research in ways that had seemed impossible just weeks before. The species that had crawled from the mud only a few million years ago was now preparing to stand against gods of war. And here, I want to pause and ask you, the viewer. What would you do if you learned humanity had only 6 months before alien armadas arrived? Would you run, hide, despair, or fight? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious how many of us would choose defiance, and how many would accept annihilation. Because this story, this thought experiment, isn't just about aliens. It's about us. About what it means to be human in the face of the incomprehensible. If you're enjoying this journey into first contact and humanity's desperate preparations, make sure to subscribe for the next part. In part 2, we'll explore the secret projects, fusion drives, chaos weapons, stealth ships, and how Earth prepared to deceive two galactic empires at once. The aliens thought Earth was uninhabited. They thought wrong. The world did not end overnight. Despite the classified warnings, cities still bustled, children still walked to school, and humanity's daily rhythm carried on. But beneath the surface, behind sealed doors and coded communications, the greatest mobilization in human history had begun. In Washington, in Moscow, in Beijing, in Berlin, leaders who had once eyed each other with suspicion now sat together in the same secure rooms. Former rivals were bound by the same reality: if they failed to prepare, Earth would cease to exist. For the first time since the dawn of civilization, humanity was truly united by a single enemy. And yet, the public did not know. Not yet. To reveal the truth too soon would mean panic, collapse, chaos. Until Earth had something to fight with, something more than rockets and hope, the war for survival would remain a secret war. At the heart of humanity's plan was deception. The intercepted transmissions revealed more than the alien war schedule. They also carried strategy updates, fleet reports, logistical chatter, the ordinary background noise of empires at war. Jake Morrison, the intelligence officer who first saw the pattern, realized that Earth could do more than listen. It could speak back. By subtly altering and rebroadcasting fragments of the alien messages, Earth could mislead both the hegemony and the collective. Send a false fleet location here, delay a supply chain there, sow distrust between commanders. It would not win the war. But it could buy time. Thus, Operation Mockingbird was born, the largest deception campaign in history, one in which humanity became the invisible hand pushing two alien titans deeper into each other's jaws. Every false signal Earth sent was a gamble. If discovered, retaliation would be swift and absolute. But for now, the galaxy still thought our world was silent. And that ignorance was humanity's sharpest weapon. Deception alone would not save Earth. Humanity needed weapons. Real ones. Dr. Samuel Carter and his global network of scientists began stripping the alien transmissions apart, searching for scraps of technology that could be reverse engineered. It started small. Energy storage methods unlike anything seen on Earth. Propulsion systems that hinted at fusion-based drives. Even fragments of shield theory that seemed impossible by human physics. Factories that once built cars were converted into prototype assembly lines. Shipyards meant for cargo vessels were retooled for something new, something no one dared to name yet. Not warships. Not at first. But test platforms. Silent armories where the future was being hammered into existence. Underground, beneath mountains and deserts, humanity built what it could not yet reveal. The greatest miracle was not technological, but human. Borders blurred. Rivals shared data. Codebreakers from Israel worked side by side with engineers from Iran. American scientists collaborated with Chinese physicists in labs deep beneath Geneva. Old grudges remained, but they mattered less than survival. For the first time in recorded history, the human race acted as a species, not as nations. Captain Lisa Bennett, now overseeing the first defense prototypes, later described it in her journal. For all our flaws, humanity does something no empire seems to understand. When threatened, we adapt. We improvise. We cheat. We fight with everything, even the things we should not. And sometimes, that is enough. Still, the world could not be kept ignorant forever. Strange shifts in the global economy were noticed. Cargo routes changed. Satellites vanished under maintenance schedules. Entire universities quietly redirected their brightest students to special projects. Conspiracy theories spread online. Some claimed a new Cold War weapon was in development. Others whispered about a black project to colonize Mars. Only a handful guessed the truth. None were believed. For most of humanity, life went on as if nothing had changed. And maybe that was for the best. A frightened population might demand surrender. But a calm one, unaware, gave Earth's defenders the time they needed. 6 months. That was the window Amanda Cross had identified from the intercepted signal. 6 months until alien scouts reached Earth's orbit. In that narrow span, the species that once looked at the stars with wonder was now forced to weaponize wonder itself. Test flights roared into the night sky from hidden deserts. Submarines carried prototype reactors beneath the oceans. Even the International Space Station, once a beacon of cooperation, quietly received modules whose true purpose would never be recorded in public logs. Amanda, who had discovered the signal, often wondered if humanity was still itself. In just weeks, Earth had transformed from scattered nations into a single fortress. But what price would that unity demand? It was Dr. Carter who raised the question aloud during one late-night meeting. If we succeed in deceiving the hegemony and the collective long enough, what then? Do we simply survive? Or do we become something worse, a shadow empire of our own? His words hung heavy in the room. For while humanity's preparations were born of necessity, they also carried temptation. If Earth could master alien energy, alien weapons, alien drives, what would stop us from becoming the very thing we feared? General Hayes answered in his usual blunt tone. We don't get that luxury, Doctor. We survive first. Then we ask questions. And here, I want to bring the question to you, the listener. If humanity had to deceive alien empires just to survive, would it change who we are? Do you think unity born from fear is real unity, or just a temporary truce? Because in this story, humanity is not only fighting for survival. It is fighting for its identity. Will we emerge from this as protectors of Earth, or as the next galactic empire waiting to be born? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear whether you believe survival justifies everything, even lies, even manipulation, even building weapons in secret. By the end of month 4, the first real prototypes emerged from the shipyards. They were crude compared to the alien titans, but they carried something no blueprint could replicate: human ingenuity. One vessel, codenamed Independence, carried a drive that bent physics just enough to make a warship dance instead of crawl. Another, Wraith, was cloaked in layers of experimental stealth plating, designed not to win battles, but to vanish into the dark. These were not fleets meant for open war. They were daggers meant for the night, assassins of information, built to strike unseen. The aliens expected a silent, empty Earth. What they would find instead was a world sharpened into shadow. And so, as the countdown ticked closer to zero, Earth stood on the edge of revelation. The sky would soon tear open. Scouts would arrive. The deception would either hold, or collapse. Humanity's secret war had begun. But the true test was still ahead. In Part 3, we'll witness the first encounter, when alien scouts enter our system, and Earth's deception is tested for the very first time. Will the galaxy realize we are not silent, or will humanity's greatest lie buy us the time we need? The future of Earth hangs in the balance. The 6th month came faster than anyone expected. Across the world, people still lived their lives, unaware of the countdown hanging over them like an invisible guillotine. But in the underground bunkers, in command centers buried beneath continents, the final hours were tracked by the second. The alien scouts were coming. And humanity would have no second chance at a first impression. At 2:37 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, deep space observatories hidden in Antarctica detected the distortion first, a ripple across the dark. Seconds later, radio telescopes in Chile confirmed it. 2 ships. Small. Not warships, not yet. Recon vessels from the hegemony. Their hulls glowed faintly with the blue shimmer of gravitic engines. They were searching, scanning, listening. To them, Earth was supposed to be a minor system, an unlit stone circling a yellow star. They expected silence. And so, humanity gave them exactly that. Every transmission on Earth, from civilian radios to military satellites, went dark. No television. No internet. No radar pulses. A silence so complete it stretched across the planet like a shroud. To the scouts, Earth appeared as nothing more than background noise. But beneath that silence, thousands of human eyes watched their every move. Amanda Cross, the analyst who had discovered the alien war transmissions, stood in the command center beneath Geneva. Before her, holographic projections showed the alien scouts drifting through the system. Her chest tightened. These were not abstract signals anymore. These were ships. Real. Here. She whispered to herself, so it begins. Beside her, General Hayes gave the order that had been rehearsed 100 times. Hold silence. Let them believe. It was the most dangerous bluff humanity had ever played. But silence alone was not enough. The scouts carried more than sensors, they carried beacons, automated signals that would soon report back to the hegemony. And if those signals confirmed anything unusual, Earth's secret would collapse before it had even begun. That was why Wraith existed. The stealth vessel, built in hidden docks under the Pacific, slipped from Earth's shadow. Its hull was coated in experimental metamaterials that bent light, scattered energy, and masked its presence from alien eyes. Its mission was not to fight, not yet. Its mission was to rewrite the story the scouts would tell. As the alien vessels prepared to transmit their first data burst, Wraith moved into position. A knife in the dark. Inside Wraith, Captain Lisa Bennett sat in silence, her crew operating at a whisper. Screens glowed with alien code intercepted in real time. The task was simple in theory, impossible in practice: alter the data mid-transmission, so that the aliens would report exactly what Earth wanted them to believe. The engineers had prepared for this moment for months. Every keystroke, every calculation, was rehearsed. But reality is never rehearsal. One error would mean discovery. And discovery meant annihilation. As the alien beacon pulsed, Bennett's crew injected Earth's lies. No signs of intelligent life. No artificial energy signatures. No anomalous technology. Earth was empty. Harmless. Forgotten. The beacon carried the deception outward, vanishing into the void. In the Geneva command bunker, Amanda and Hayes watched the alien scouts linger. For long minutes, they scanned. Their engines hummed. Their instruments swept across oceans and continents. And then, slowly, gracefully, they turned away. The scouts left Earth's orbit. Their drives ignited, blue light stretching into the dark, carrying them back to their empire. Silence remained. But this time, it was a silence heavy with relief. Humanity's greatest gamble had worked. For now. But Earth had not simply let them go. In the shadows of their retreat, another vessel, the prototype Independence, followed at a distance, just beyond detection range. Its mission was different from Wraith. It was not to deceive, but to learn. To track the scouts, study their movements, and gather data about hegemony technology. When the scouts finally left the system, Independence did not fire. It did not reveal itself. Instead, it recorded everything: the frequencies of their drives, the rhythm of their communications, the vulnerabilities in their armor plating. Knowledge, in this war, was a weapon sharper than any blade. When Independence returned weeks later, the data it carried changed everything. Scientists now had proof of weaknesses, gaps in shield harmonics, exploitable blind spots in scanning arrays, vulnerabilities that no empire would ever expect a primitive species to see. For the first time, humanity had not only survived first contact, it had taken something from it. And the weaponsmiths of Earth immediately began to turn that knowledge into reality. Yet victory in deception carried its own shadows. Dr. Carter raised the question again in a quiet meeting. We are no longer just defending ourselves. We are shaping lies, manipulating truth, bending reality. How long before we lose ourselves in this? Amanda, exhausted but resolute, answered. If survival requires us to live in shadows, then so be it. History will not remember the lies. It will only remember whether we endured. General Hayes added only one sentence, blunt as always. The galaxy thinks we are silent. Let them. One day, we'll decide when to speak. And now, I want to ask you. Was humanity right to begin its war in deception? Is it bravery, or cowardice, to fight unseen, to strike only when the enemy cannot strike back? If you were in Amanda's place, would you have let the alien scouts leave untouched? Or would you have destroyed them, knowing it might reveal Earth's hand too soon? Because in this story, survival is not only about strength. It is about patience. And patience may be the sharpest weapon we have. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. The first test had passed. The galaxy still believed Earth was silent. But silence is never forever. Soon, larger fleets would come. Not scouts. Not probes. But warships, and armies. And when they arrived, Earth's shadows would no longer be enough. The countdown had only begun.